right, everybody. Appreciate you all coming out. I'm John Senna. I'm the new assistant AD for strategic communications. I'll be the men's basketball contact, so I look forward to working with everyone here and helping you out as we go through the season. Just real quick, before we get Coach up, just want to thank you all for attending. I want to thank our facilities and operations staff for all the work they've done, our video staff, and my communications staff for helping. I'd like to give a shout out to our photographer, Mackenzie Miles. She is the Terp of the Month for September, so we're very excited about that. And now, that's about as much as I talk because you're not here for me. Kevin Willard, men's basketball coach.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Excited about this season. Excited about a new beginning. Most important, I'm really excited about the way this group has been working. They've been extremely energetic. They've been practiced with a purpose for most of the time, and I think I think this is a group that's really looking forward to proving what they can do on the court, both individually and as a team. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to take them because I do not talk at a podium very often.
Real quick, we've got mics on the side. We're going to raise your hand for that, and then introduce yourself.
Ryan McFadden from the Baltimore Sun. Coach, I was curious. You mentioned how trying to find players to build up the roster this year, you wanted to find guys that complement the returning guys like Dante, Julian, and Akeem. Could you go into detail how, like, the new guys you brought to the program complement those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the roster, as we built this roster, we really, when you take over, I wanted to respect the guys that stayed. I wanted to make sure that they graduated and they left, having the opportunity to make sure they could prove what they were all about. And if you look at the roster, one of the things that we really kind of needed, we needed guard depth, we needed shooting. So we went out and obviously Jameer, Don, Jahari, all guys that we thought, if you look at Juju, Hawk, Dante, Ike, Ian, all guys that kind of were different than what those guys were. No one was going to step on each other's toes. They were all going to come in and not compete, but at the same time kind of gel and form a good unit.
Coach, can you give us a few words about the coaching staff that you put together and how that's helping with the recruiting?
Yeah, coaching staff is great. It's something that, Damon and I talked about when I got the job. I wanted to make sure I was going to be able to hire the right guys. And David, obviously Tony and Grant are three guys that I all knew, deeply respected. David obviously has been a head coach, will be a head coach again. Tony and Grant will be head coaches very soon. So I wanted guys that could teach the game at a very high level, like they all can. I wanted guys that were from this area. Obviously Tony and David grew up in this area, went to school in this area. And I think I have three of the best assistant coaches, and I have to thank Damon because he understood that it was going to cost us a little bit of money to go out and get the best guys, but he was all for it. And I think this staff has worked extremely hard, not only to put this roster together, but recruiting right now, recruiting next year or the year after. I just think I have three rock stars.
Dave Preston, WTOP Radio. This is obviously your first year here, but this is not your first year as a head coach. You've had first years elsewhere. What lessons did you learn your first year at Iona and Seton Hall that will help you this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was making sure that really the biggest lesson I learned was the guys I brought in, and it's a little bit different because the transfer portal has changed what happened. Like, I didn't have the transfer portal at Seton Hall, so it was like the roster you had, whoever was left over, you kind of had to deal with that and build off that. This year, I really wanted to make sure the guys that we brought in We're going to set the tone from a work ethic, from a culture ethic, from a academic effort that will be able to set the set the standard going forward. Because right now we're laying the carpet, and we want the carpet to be smooth so we can keep building on that and build stacks and stacks on that. And the most important thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to get a staff that was going to be great for my players, and I wanted to bring guys in that were going to set this culture, set the tone, so that next year I didn't have to reset the carpet, in essence, that the carpet's been laid. The guys coming in next year know how we work, know how we do things, know how we act, know how we go to class. And that's probably the biggest difference is I wanted a world-class staff, which I have, and I wanted to make sure the guys I brought in were going to be able to set the tone moving forward.
Emily Jimbavo, Washington Post. Kevin, I'd assume part of your job this offseason was to try to re-energize the fan base. And in what ways do you feel like you and your staff tried to do that? And then what does that look like as the season starts and with the product you put out?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we wanted to embrace the tradition and the greatness of this program as I look up at the national championship banner. So I thought coming in, I really wanted to get the former players on board. Not that they weren't, but I really wanted to embrace them for us, get them involved, get what they wanted out of the program. To me, that was really important. It wasn't just going to be my vision. I knew what my vision for this program was, but I wanted to blend that with what Coach Williams' vision was, Lefty's vision was, what the former players wanted out of this program. And I took all their feedback and I kind of mixed it in with what I wanted this program to be, because, bring a little bit of the past, a little bit of the future, and then move on. And that was, I think, the first and foremost was to get the fan base to understand that these former players were going to be a huge part. Coach Williams is a huge part. He's been instrumental in us having success so far. And I think the second time was, our first couple recruits, we really tried to get, local kids, just to kind of let the fan base know that, this area is going to be huge to us. We're going to recruit it. We're going to bring kids in. We're going to, make sure that they're the stars, kind of what we did. I did it at Seton Hall. So I think those two things were really the main things that we did. The style of play is going to be big. We're going to play probably way too fast and we're going to shoot a ton of threes. We're going to press. We're going to get after it. Probably at times we won't look good just because I have 13 guys that have played 5 different styles, and now they're trying to get my style. But I think, again, we're laying down the groundwork for the future.
Coach Lou Holder Sports, you just touched on it briefly, but if you can expound a little bit more. A prominent coach said last year that the DMV is one of the most fertile recruiting grounds in the entire country because of the makeup of the kid that is from here. I mean, people here know it, but what is it about you coming from another area? What is it about this area that is so special?
It's really simple. I hate to say that. These kids in this area get unbelievable coaching from a very young age. It's very unique. The kids don't transfer schools. They don't transfer AAU programs. They get great coaching at the AAU level, and they get great coaching at the high school level. And it's not that there's not great high school coaches other ways. It's just the amount of coaching that is done in this area, to me, it's second to none. It's something I've never seen. You can go different areas and see great high school coaches, great AAU programs, but the amount that are in this area, it's what makes these kids so special.
Kevin Beresford from the Washington Post. As a coach from the outside, you would have had impressions of what Maryland is and what Maryland could be. I wonder, since you've gotten on campus and taken the job, what you've learned that might have shaped that vision or sharpened it a little bit more.
I was told how passionate the fan base was, and how tough they can be. And everybody's right. It's a very passionate fan base, probably, and it's a much bigger alumni base and fan base. I knew it. I had something in my mind that I thought it was, but I was recruiting in San Francisco, Texas. I was down in Florida. And everywhere I went, every airport I hit, it was a Maryland fan. And to me, it kind of, as I've been here, I've just realized, it's a great fan base because it's so passionate about this sport. It loves Maryland basketball. Every time I go out to dinner with Coach Williams or play golf with him, it's amazing, for as angry as he can get, how many people love him. It's amazing. And it's something that's, he like I said, he's been instrumental. He's given me he's teaching me lesson after lesson about this place. And I just think it's an extremely fun and passionate fan base.
Hey, Coach. Heather McDonough, NBC4. Kind of similar to what you were talking about, just looking about, you mentioned your vision and what you're talking to the former players about. Would you give us, not getting into specifics, but just any possible, what they said to you, or it's coupled with your vision? I see you're smiling right now, so something must be coming to mind.
My great athletic director's here, so he's going to get mad at me for saying it. They kind of it went from changing the logo, different color uniforms, scheduling, events, the type of players we bring in. We sat down and, we talked to everybody. And it was great feedback. And it's crazy. Lefties guys have such a different thing than Gary's guys and Mark's guys, the younger guys. And so we kind of got them all together. And we had dinner here one night, and we probably had about 100 guys, and it was really cool. We didn't have some of the new younger guys because it happened right when the NBA guys were leaving, but it was kind of just a mixture of everything. And it was everyone had the same thing. They just kind of wanted to see the passion from the players back a little bit, see maybe a little bit more excitement, getting up and down. And then, I had some of the older guys saying, I'd love to see, more zone and slow it down. So it was all over, but it was all, like I said, I took everyone's advice, and I still have to blend it with what I really want to do. But
What
the
of them was
logo
that?
is huge, man. I love that Terrapin. I'm gonna get in trouble. I love that. I wear it all the time, and I make him so mad because I don't wear the M. I guess the M's important, but I love that turtle.
Turtle's big. The turtle's big.
Hey, Kevin. Andy Cuska, Baltimore Sun. I'm curious, when you were building this roster out this season, how important was it to have a guy like Dante Scott, a holdover, a starter, be here and kind of help mesh with this unit?
Yeah, Dante's been our best practice player. He's lost 30 pounds. I knew Dante. I recruited Dante. Obviously, we played against him. But I think, just having him back was really huge, just because it helped the people that we were bringing in recruiting was, guys that had stayed, had bought in. And he was able to kind of talk about what we had done in April, our individual program, what we were doing, some things we were changing. And he's been an unbelievable leader. I'm talking about lights out. And it started from my first meeting with him, and he loves this place, and he wanted to graduate and play his last year here. But he's lost 30 pounds. His game's really good, and he's led more by example than anything else.
Coach Kevin Richardson with the Baltimore Sun. How has NIL affected recruiting?
Yeah, NIL is it's not going away. It is what it is. I have a great group of guys that have formed a collective that's as good as anybody's. It's a necessary evil. I think it's great for the kids, but it is you deal with NIL on a daily basis. We don't talk about it, but it's in every conversation if you kind of understand what I'm saying. And I think it's here. It's tremendous for these young men because they do a lot, and it's great that they're getting NIL. So it's a touchy subject. I'm not allowed to say too much about it. But I think it's great for the players.
Nicky Wolcott, Diamondback. You touched on the tempo earlier, and you said this group might be able to play at a higher one than your teams in the past. What about this group is different?
We're really not that big. So when you look at our roster, we're big on the wings. Inside, we're not big and dominant. We're not going to be able to slow down and just kind of grind it out. I like our guard play. I like we shoot the basketball really well. So I think we're really going to have to work on the way we shoot the basketball. And I slowed down the last couple of years just because of necessity, because of injuries. To be honest with you, it's tough to play fast when you have 7 guys. I think this roster can go 9 to 10 deep.
Hey, Kevin. George Gerbo, Washington Times. You've really immersed yourself in the culture of not only the university, but the entire state of Maryland in the 6 or 7 months that you've been here. Do you have a favorite moment or memory in your travels across the state this summer that kind of sticks out about the passion and the people that make up the state? I know you mentioned cracking crabs in Minneapolis.
Yeah, that was I don't have that down. Coach Cox, I don't know if he's here, man. He's like an expert at cracking crabs. He taught the whole team. No, I've it was kind of weird. My family didn't move down till August, so I was a bachelor for like 3 months, and really what I wanted to do was kind of hit every part of the state and just kind of see and get the feel, from Annapolis. I've fallen in love with Baltimore. I think Baltimore is awesome. It's got such a cool vibe to it, but that was just my goal. I just wanted to see what the people are all about, kind of get their vibe. So I spent a lot of time just going out, grabbing a beer, eating dinners. I like crab cake. I don't like cracking crabs. I'll eat the crab cake, but the cracking thing it's a lot of work for minimal return. I just think it's a lot easier to order a crab cake and it's there. It's all there. You crack it and you take the legs off and then you're sitting there and you have to eat like 50 of them, for one crab cake. So I like crab cakes, but this area is everything I thought it was. I've spent a lot of time in D.C. too. I love just walking around D.C., looking at the monuments. But that's been my goal, is just to kind of really get a good feel. I knew the area. I've recruited the area, but I really just wanted to get the vibe of the people in the state, and it's a great state.
Coach, I was wondering how do you measure your expectations going into year one? You mentioned how this is a really strong fan base that wants to win, but like going to year one in a new program, how do you measure your expectations for a season?
No, I think it's going to be the same every year. It's going to be the Big Ten championship, national championship. That's the goal of this program. Is every year going to be possible? Some years probably more than not, but that is our goal every year. Our goal will not be anything different besides win a Big Ten championship and hang another banner. No other expectation is allowed in this program.
Coach, it's not like you're not familiar with who we're going to play this year. You've played everybody. Mm-hmm. You're known for that. With the way you came in and the way you had to put the team together, do you feel this team can be competitive against the upper reaches that we face this year?
Absolutely. I don't think we're going to be as smooth in the beginning as I would like. I think I have 13 guys that have played for 6 different coaches. And there's times we look really good in practice. And then there's times where someone that's played for a coach 3 years does in a totally different style than ours. His reaction just goes back to what he's reacted for the last 3 years, and that breaks everything down. So I think the biggest thing for me is I'm going to be patient, because I think we're going to be really good once we can kind of get through December. I think we're going to be really good. I like the way, like I said, I like the way these guys are practicing. I love the way we shoot the basketball. It's just a matter of all of us getting on the same page defensively, and that's going to take a little bit of time. And most coaches aren't patient, but the one thing I have learned is that you have to be patient early on.
Last question out here for Coach, and then I've got the players coming out.
Emmett Siegel, Testudo Times. Coach, I don't know what kind of discussions you have about this, but there's been a lot of talk about NCAA tournament expansion recently. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that and how you feel about potentially expanding the tournament from its current format.
I don't think we should expand it. I think the NCAA should I think the NCAA should, instead of expanding it, should take some of that money and give it back to the players. I think we make a lot of money off the NCAA tournament, and I think they should have a playoff share. If you make the NCAA tournament, instead of expanding the team, expanding the tournament, and maybe weakening, but I think taking that extra money from all this and giving it back to the players that have earned it, I think that's where their focus should be, instead of making tournaments bigger and spending more money when they have the money that they should be giving back to the players. It's a good question, by the way.
Thank you. If you need anything else, let me know.
Thank you, everybody.